You have no power over me.
Four lights!
And I swear to God, Riker, when I got out of there, I really thought there were 4 lights.
That
Maybe more.
executive producer.
Do, do,
but,
do.
but we're not talking about Next Generation.
No.
We should actually probably introduce this show. I should introduce the show
Please go ahead.
before we get okay. Welcome to the Janeway with Jake Weissman. With me, as always, is my co-host Grant Whitaker.
That's me. Hi.
That's Grant. This is. I had a whole introduction set up in my head, and now it's just like out to pot.
We'll type it out in a script.
Maybe. I was gonna say, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome to the Delta Quadrant. And I completely buffed that.
No. With the power of audio editing, anything can be made real.
I don't want to play that game. Cool. I don't know from audio editing, even though probably most of this show might have to be edited.
Oh yeah, we definitely need to edit it to make ourselves sound very smart.
Very, very smart.
Yeah, very smart.
Indeed.
And
this will be the This American Life of Star Trek Voyager podcast.
Oh boy, wait, I didn't know that. Did they chop up This American Life?
I mean, the whole thing's an edited podcast.
Woo boy. And here I thought they were doing live radio. Here I thought they were coming me straight from the telegraph machine.
Yeah, I mean, I did for a long time. I thought they were doing This American Life, This American Live.
Welcome to This American Lie.
Very good.
Cool.
So, what is this show? The Janeway is the Chicago's greatest unofficial oral Star Trek Voyager episode guide.
Yeah, we're gonna be basically running through Voyager as a television series with sort of Jake at the helm, being
much like Tom Paris,
which I'm learning about. It's my first time watching Voyager.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Jake and I are colleagues. We work together, and during work, basically, he name dropped Star Trek to me a couple times, and I had never heard of it before, you know. No, I never made the time to watch it, and then kind of at his recommendation / just to like have
We work shifts where there are 8 hours. You got to fill the time. Talk
Cool.
about some stuff.
yeah, kind of like on a podcast, so I feel very prepared now.
I promise you, this podcast will not be 8 hours long. Maybe in its entirety, because we're going to do all 270 something episodes. I got to look that up.
Yeah, it's 7 seasons.
It's a solid 7 seasons.
Yeah. So I watched Deep Space Nine, and we talked about recording a podcast because we had so much fun talking about it.
Yeah, I had seen it before and rewatched it, trying to. Grant lapped me with that one. It took me a lot longer to finish.
Yeah. I was watching a couple episodes a day and feeling really good about it. Now, however, with Voyager, we can sort of take a little bit more time, break down each episode.
I've got through this series twice. I just finished it the second time. But I wasn't as in-depth as with DS9. DS9, I really wanted to remember every detail and remember it like it's a big, long novel.
Yeah.
Voyager's a lot more fun. A little more free-spirited.
A little more classic Star Trek.
It's a little more classic Star Trek.
They get back to what makes the formula work, which is the exploration, the strange phenomenons, and the weird cultures.
But the writers are smart because Gene Roddenberry set up so many roadblocks in terms of writing, in terms of how Federation people can't, the way they have conflict and the way they engage in conflict, which is something that we love so much about Star Trek.
Yeah.
But they manage with the Maquis and with a bunch of other aspects of this show and the overarching narrative of it all to be able to kind of break some of those conflict rules and have to deal with the Prime Directive almost constantly.
Yeah.
Just pretty much really figuring out who they are at their roots. What do you, when you're far away from home, does that make you stand even stronger to your principles and your roots and stuff like that?
Or does Janeway go all Heart of Darkness and we get sort of a Conrad Curry situation?
We get there.
Wait, what's the guy's name?
Conrad.
Is it Conrad?
Joseph Conrad.
Oh, Joseph Conrad.
No, Joseph Conrad is
the author.
The hero's Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell, and then
Joseph Conrad wrote Heart of Darkness. Joseph Campbell did the hero's journey.
Okay, and
I don't remember.
So Kurz is Apocalypse Now, right? Like Colonel
Kurtz?
Colonel Kurtz
is Apocalypse Now,
cool.
Which is Heart of Darkness.
And
yes.
Conrad Kurz is the Primarch of the Night Lords Legion in Warhammer 40,000, named after a combination of these men.
Which is exactly what I was thinking right when you said it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So this is garbage.
This is about Star Trek Voyager.
This is trash.
No, it's not.
Oh, God.
I love it. I love every second of it.
Well, it's only 6 minutes. We got plenty of time to talk about the pilot.
We got to get into it. We got to feel a little comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, got to
adjust.
Sitting on the floor over here.
It is a sweltering Chicago evening.
Yeah, I've been cooling the room down with some AC, but since it's not sound friendly, we're roughing it for a second, but it's better than opening the windows and hearing them heat bugs. You get the cicadas, the heat bugs, a buzzin' in these dog days, as it were.
Speaking of heat bugs,
Hit
the
me.
pilot of Voyager kind of starts out with those Maquis boys in some hot water.
So I think what's best is for Grant to describe the show, the plot, and we'll just kind of stop as we go, talk about certain things, go through it. We'll see where we end up. I don't want this to... We'll figure out when the episode ends, and then we'll do a part 2, because The Caretaker, the pilot episode of Star Trek Voyager, is an hour and a half long feature Star Trek. And before we get started, I mean, you've seen a couple of Star Trek pilots, right?
Sure.
How do you feel this ranks in Star Trek pilotdom?
Oh boy. Well, I tell you what, it kind of starts out hot and heavy, like the Deep Space Nine Battle of Wolf number.
Yeah.
347. We're gonna
looking it up.
We're gonna have our lore Bibles on hand for
Let me tell you, I will tell you, MemoryAlpha.com, the Star Trek wiki, is the greatest thing on the face. There's so much information. I love going to episodes and looking at the Memory Alpha, so that's what I'm gonna check right now.
Cool.
So yeah, what am I looking up? Because Edward Jellicoe just popped up, and that's... I love Edward Jellicoe.
It's the Battle of Wolf.
Right. 4-7.
Number sequence. Yeah, Deep Space Nine starts out with that very cool TNG moment and kind of ties our characters in. And so kind of similarly, Voyager spirals off from Deep Space Nine by taking us to, I wouldn't call it a familiar location, but
359.
359. Cool.
Wolf 359. And we talk about that a lot throughout the battle. Is a big deal. Because that's the battle where Sisko's wife dies, and his story really begins in his giant, cyclical, millennial-long, an epic spiritual journey.
Absolutely. And
I love DS9.
It's God. You might wonder, why aren't they talking about Deep Space Nine if they love it so much? Why?
We'll get there. Don't worry about it, because we'll get there.
It's in the title. Yeah, so we begin with the Badlands. It's an area that we know from Deep Space Nine, where basically the crew just gets into treacherous space.
Right.
It's like whenever we need to put the crew in treacherous space, you got that episode where you
can hide in the Badlands.
Yeah. You got the Dominion ships hunting them in the Badlands, and everyone's blind, and there's a torpedo and the embedded in the ship,
right?
And it could go off at any point. The Badlands are a place that even it's choppy waters in the world of Star Trek.
But is this a good pilot or is this not a good pilot?
Oh boy, just right out the gate.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the ultimate question in the realm of that was the original question. I just don't want to lose that
Sure,
question.
sure. Sorry.
In the
I'm so
Grant, you're a
sorry.
mess. Clean up. Oh my God, there's just snot everywhere. You're a GD mess, Grant. Oh no, it's ugly, guys. It's ugly crying.
Yeah, but is it a good pilot compared to other Star Trek
In the
pilots?
realm, yeah.
God.
TNG. You got the Man Trap is the first episode of the original series, which I just watched for the first time. No Kill Eye.
Yeah, the man. Okay, so never saw the TNG pilot because I just haven't seen
Oh,
season one.
but the pilot. But you've seen the finale.
Yes.
You gotta see the pilot, so you. Ah.
Oh
You gotta see
no.
the pilot so that the finale hits even harder.
Okay, everyone, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna cut here, and I'm gonna go watch the pilot. Okay,
All
here we
right,
go.
stay tuned. We're gonna play a quick advertisement, and Grant's gonna watch the pilot, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
You cannot change the laws of physics. Laws of physics. Laws of physics. You cannot change the laws of physics. Laws of physics, Jim.
Oh, we come in peace. Shoot to kill, shoot to kill, shoot to kill. We come in peace. Shoot to kill. Scotty, beam me up.
It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead.
Well, it's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Not as we know it. Not as we know it. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Not as we know it, Captain.
There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow.
You cannot change the script, Jim. I'll see you, Jimmy.
It's worse than that. It's physics, Jim.
Bridge to engine room. Work factor 9.
If I give it any more, she'll blow.
And we're back.
We're back.
Wow, what a terrific pilot.
It's
It's just
it's on about as good as a Star Trek pilot can be. That first
absolutely,
episode.
absolutely.
I don't know what it's called. I got to pull out my
I can
little
see.
computer.
I can
Majel.
see. I really should have looked when I was watching the episode to see what the title was, but I was just too wrapped up in the immediacy of Patrick Stewart.
Encounter at Farpoint, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
What a stupid. There's some off on the other end of this listening saying it's encounter. It's encounter for. It's encounter at Farpoint, and you know.
I'm glad we passed 10 minutes before we started to alienate and like.
Well, I'm just the first thing I thought of was it's gonna be says that, and I feel bad because it's not a. This is what we're gonna delete. I'm not okay with any of this.
Okay, is it a good? Okay, so is the Voyager pilot a good
Yeah.
Star Trek pilot? And I'm gonna say it's okay. It's bad in a lot of places. Like as an episode, is it a good episode?
No, I'm telling you.
No, it's not a good episode for me. I don't enjoy it as an episode. But is it a good pilot? Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna yeah. Now that I can make that dichotomy where it can be like an unentertaining kind of slog to get through for an hour and a half, but it introduces the principal characters, it sets up the show, and it gets us like where we need to go.
I agree. As I was telling you before, I feel like this is a combination of 3 different episodes, which makes sense as it's feature length, so that's about the length of
Yeah.
2-3 episodes, right?
It's a
And
Turner classic,
Right.
Star Trek movie.
and so I feel like there's one really great episode in there, one fairly mediocre episode, and one episode I don't care for at all.
Yeah.
And together, the average of that is a pretty average episode in general. As far as Voyager can get really good. And this episode is not my favorite episode of Voyager.
Yeah.
By any means.
Absolutely. I should have silenced my cell phone. That likely destroyed the audio. I'm so sorry.
Hopefully, I think we got to remember to talk.
Yeah, we gotta get a
little.
little close in. Well, I think the most important thing that Voyager does is set up the crew.
Right.
Because every primary character gets a sequence to sort of demonstrate their competency and what we're going to do with them going forward. Now, I haven't watched.
kind of tuned out during Balana's.
Oh,
But that's later on in the episode. That's kind of in the back half of the episode, right?
Well, Belana Torres gets her thing like.
She just grunts and fights
Yeah.
for the first good chunk of this.
Sure. Well, at the very start, she's like engineer superior, right? Like she's correcting the Vulcan about like how to get the Maquis ship out
That's
of the
true.
situation.
She is the best engineer since Geordie LaForge.
Yeah. So we get her in there, And she's got way better physical stats. So as like an RPG character, min-maxing B'Elanna Torres is sort of more the ideal that you want to go for.
That's, again, what I was thinking.
Yeah. So yeah, we can talk about B'Elanna Torres when she comes up
Right.
in tomorrow's episode. This is a daily podcast released every single day of the week, 8 days a week, 9 cycles of a Clartark.
Clartar.
A Clartark.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing binge episodes.
Yeah.
I think compiling a handful, releasing them as seasons.
That's not a bad
Maybe.
idea.
Something like that. Maybe go by season of Voyager, as it were.
Sure.
But, we're all coming up with this as we are coming up with this.
Yeah, we'll figure out the format.
Indubitably. So, I think we should wait until the next episode of this show to really get into the story.
Sure.
Because we only have a handful of minutes left, so maybe we should just talk about general Voyager thoughts as we descend into this 75-year journey through the Delta Quadrant together.
Well, let's see. I expected it to be a lot bleaker when I was coming into Voyager, just based on the premise. But everyone seems very confident from the outset that they're gonna Starfleet their way out of the situation.
Good call.
Yeah. There's not really a whole lot of no one freaks out. Everyone just remembers their training, even the people that don't have training.
Well, the best part are that the Maquis, and we should probably explain who the Maquis are after
Sure.
this, but, the Maquis, most of them were Starfleet at some point.
Yeah, a lot
And then
of them.
just defected. So tell me, Grant, who are the Maquis? We learned about them first in Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
Tell me how this plays into Voyager. Who are they? What is the context? We gotta know going into this because Maquis plays a big part in Voyager through and through.
Well, the Maquis are probably the most, I'd say, politically cool faction in Star Trek, in that they are Federation citizens that have kind of been left up in the wind. If I remember the actual turn of phrase there, I think it would have flowed better.
No, left up in the sonic wind.
Yeah, they were sort of left in the grubby reptilian hands of our Cardassian overlords. So you have all of these idealistic Federation officers that disagree with the decision of the Federation Council. You have a break in the consensus.
Right.
And what do these human beings do? Well, they split off from the Federation government and from the Cardassian government, from all government, and they form sort of a rebel faction.
In response to what?
Oh, pardon. There was a big war between an alien empire called the Cardassian Union and the multicultural Federation, and it ground to a stalemate. And so in the treaty, they sort of swap areas of space, kind of end of World War II style broad strokes with no...
I thought it was Bajoran. Is it Starfleet?
Yeah, Starfleet had a full-on war with the Cardassian Union. That's
There you
why you
go.
have all those veterans in TNG that are like, oh,
That's
fuck
right.
the Cardassians.
Right. Oh, Cardi. You dirty Cardi.
Oh,
Oh, you dirty Cardi, go back.
Well, I think we just blew out the mic there.
Well, blame old fucking
We gotta get
O'Brien.
Torres on this one. Oh my god.
Oh, you dirty Cardi.
Yeah.
Hardy.
And they're all Irish.
You
because
spoonhead. You
Yeah!
fucking spoonhead.
Oh god. Oh, that's that good shit. Yeah, the majority of the Federation soldiers. Soldiers? Whatever.
Officers.
It's yeah, but O'Brien's not an officer. He's
He's a civilian officer, isn't he?
he's enlisted. We've had this conversation
had
before.
this conversation.
He's like a warrant officer, and he's not he didn't go to Starfleet Academy or anything. He's just a guy
Okay.
on the ship.
So then they trade land.
They trade land.
Federation, it was Federation land, is now all of a sudden their houses are in Cardassia.
Yeah.
This kind of West Bank analogy sometimes, like you said, World War II. You your
Yeah.
political conflict.
Whenever like you gotta draw the line over the Irish farmhouse to say like
Right.
this is like independent Ireland, this is Britain's. Uh, that's oh boy, things. Oh boy, oh no. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, no.
Maybe we'll just bleep stuff.
That could be fun. I like
That'll
that.
be better.
Yeah.
We'll bleep some stuff.
We'll bleep.
Okay.
Um,
Because I don't want to cut anything, but
Full-
I'm not comfortable with all of it.
yeah. Definitely got to practice some mic discipline. Not only technically, as like I'm looking at the audio from here and I'm seeing some spikes that are not attractive to me.
We should try and talk
Yeah.
to the mic and not to each other. We get so caught up in the actual conversation,
Yeah.
looking each other in the eye, and things are kind of.
Well,
We're fine.
This is our pilot.
Yeah.
Are people going to say like, is this like the best episode of the show? No. But they clearly established that they are authorities on Star Trek.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
I'm definitely. I've thought about this. I can officially call myself a Trekkie.
Yeah.
But that being said, well, we'll talk about the Star Wars opening.
Yeah.
We'll
yeah.
talk about that in the
when
next
we
step,
break
right?
down the narrative and the next step.
And so the Maquis, did we wrap that up or
Well, we spent about 5 minutes on it, so I have to imagine we did. But in summary,
we don't have to keep going?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that people understand how they are.
Sure. So yeah, they're Federation rebels, or formerly Federation rebels. They're Federation citizens.
Yes.
That are engaged in a guerrilla war with the alien empire that the Federation kind of treated with, that sort of screwed them over. And so they don't really feel loyalty to the Federation. They feel loyalty to themselves. They're very kind of like community based, like our farms, our lives, our communities are so divorced from the Federation's political goals that they aren't even being considered. So let's steal some shuttles and blow up some spoonheads. That's their deal. And
Okay.
we see perhaps our first and only spoonhead at the very start of it.
We'll see.
There is no greater friend of the Cardassian people than I.
That's like, listen, I like Nazis as much as the next guy.
There were good guys
Nah,
and bad guys
nah,
on both sides.
they're just effervescent. They're
Look at-
so much fun. It's
look-
like that. They're all like Hans Landa. Every Cardassian is just the fun Nazi that everyone wants to watch for 2 hours.
Well, Garrick. I mean,
Garrick's all right though. Garrick was he was a Nazi. He's just
Yeah.
like actually feels things. And
Like
he's
it-
tortured every day.
yeah.
It's cold.
He gives the torture. He takes the torture. It goes both ways.
Facts of life.
Yeah. Talked more about deep space. Talked more about. I'd say we talked an equal amount about Warhammer 40,000 as we did about Voyager this
I
episode.
think we prefer talking about Warhammer 40,000.
Get ready for our Grimdark podcast. Gilman
What's that gonna
Watch.
be called? Gelman Watch?
I don't know. Maybe like ultra boring to listen to.
All right. Sounds good. We'll do that. We'll get that one in the works. So before we wrap this up, I think most people know this. Anyone listening to this will know.
Sure.
Star Trek universe, the original series, Star Trek Next Generation takes place in the Alpha Quadrant.
Yeah.
That's where Kronos is. That's where Ferenginar is. That's where that's where Vulcan is. Where
Yeah.
most of the planets we've come to know. In this timeline when they didn't blow up Vulcan really early on.
Sure.
Alderaan style. Because people have been trying to turn Star Trek into Star Wars for years and years and years. Since the 70s, man. Since there's been a Star Wars, they've been trying to turn Star Trek into Star Wars.
Yeah, you have Deep Space Nine being a Star War. You have
Deep Space Nine does Star Wars better than Star Wars. I will say that.
It even has like the pseudo-religious, like light and dark, good and evil.
I actually prefer the DS9 spiritual side than to like the Force
yeah.
business. I like it. I just find the Star Wars stuff is like cool, but like it gets pretty serious in DS9.
Yeah.
And by the end, it's all spiritual.
Yeah, there's not really a philosophy in Star Wars. Like, to
People would
speak of.
debate that.
I-
People would have the exact opposite argument.
Oh, and they're welcome to debate it, but when when it comes to what you see in the movies, it's very much like good things are good, and if it's evil, it is bad. Whereas like you know what? I actually don't know much about the Bajoran religion based on what I saw in the.
There's not a whole. I mean, the Bajoran is whatever. I'm just talking about like the Cisco arc
Yeah.
is just 100% spiritual. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's like one of the better looks at like God
Right.
in science fiction. In that it's sort of like we take from the outset that we're living in a scientific universe, and then we say like, well, what would a god be there? Could you have God?
Right.
And the answer is the wormhole alien.
It's an entire 7-season response to how much better Star Trek can be about God than Star Trek V, and how William Shatner met God and then killed him, I think. The movie is bananas.
Is it the Search for Spock?
No. It's what's number 5? Not Voyage Home. Final Frontier?
I'm a real Star Trek fan, just so you know.
No, Final Frontier is yeah, Final Frontier. Yes, number 6 is The Undiscovered Country. So, that movie is a mess. I like it for different reasons, but that movie is messy. So, anyway, that's DS9. I just wanted to kind of point out DS9 is the wormhole into the Gamma Quadrant. We discover new aliens in the Gamma Quadrant, and then this, we're going to learn, we get sent to the Delta Quadrant. Now, I'll just wrap things up by saying I love this show. I love Star Trek. It's my favorite show in the world. I do watch it every night before I go to bed. And Next Generation is about peace. DS9 is about war. Voyager is about love. And I'm very excited to explore it.
Well, let me just say that the most important question.
You're
for
blushing,
me,
Grant.
Am I? That
You're-
might just be the horrific heat of this sweltering hole in this Baghdad-style spider hole that we have created to avoid persecution by more mainstream Trek fans.
Indeed. Who know the episode titles and
And yeah,
like know what Star Trek V is called.
and they're attempting to institute the Prime Directive on us.
But we have to get home
Yes.
by, well, not by any means necessary, by keeping to our principles and remembering that in a pinch, Starfleet knows best.
Yeah. Ultimately, my question that I'm going to try to answer throughout this podcast, my personal one, is Janeway a good captain?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's my thing.
That's going to be your thing?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of contentious opinions in a bunch of different directions.
Can I say
Go for
that Captain Janeway is my captain? And I'm sure I've told you that 100,000 times.
Absolutely.
But my captain, if I have to put a gun to my head, all of them,
Yeah.
and I don't know who this Discovery captain is. I don't know this Jason Isaacs captain, Captain Isaacs.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know from it. And I just tried the first 8 episodes of Enterprise. That was rough. I tried. I might keep going, but we'll see. Captain Janeway is just my absolute favorite. I'm in love with her. I just think she's the greatest captain in the world. She's learned from the best and has become an even greater captain. She has to deal with shit that no other captain has to deal with.
Absolutely.
And does so with aplomb.
All right. Well, does that wrap us up for the first episode?
Yeah, that certainly does. Grant, thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I've been so excited to tackle this beast, and I can't think of anybody better to sort of steer the boat down the river Styx.
Rock and roll.
As we are gonna die at the end of the podcast. Is the
Spoiler alert.
yeah.
All right, I'll sign us off. You say your name, though.
Well, everyone, this was Grant Whitaker.
This is Jake S. Weissman. We'll see you in the Delta Quadrant.